The sanitization of gaming continues as SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos is, of course, revealing censorship in the promotion and marketing. And while thus far it seems like the game itself is uncensored, it does have one of those dreaded disclaimers about the modern audiences beforehand. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and I've got to ask, why do we keep allowing this? Coming from Bounding into Comics by my boy Spence, SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos re-releases censors cover art as disclaimer apologizing for outdated content. And this really is absolutely sad. I mean, we look to the east, we look to Japan, and most recently South Korea, and China for uncensored, unfiltered entertainment experiences, not just in gaming, but in anime, in movies, whether it be your K-dramas, whether it be your Godzilla -1s, whether it be, again, video games, because we believed, we trusted that they were the true bastions of free speech and artistic expression that the West just isn't anymore. And frankly, the West hasn't been for a long time. But now, it seems that's not the case. There's been an infiltration. The ESG money is flowing, and they want a piece of that pie. And why do we, the gamers, keep letting this happen? Because let's be real, we keep buying this stuff. It's an addiction. It's like our own personal little crack cocaine. Oh, just buy the game. Hey, I got the nostalgia for it. You know, look, it's got the disclaimer. That means that nothing's been altered, so it's okay to put the pretty penny down, isn't it? I reject that notion. I frankly find this pretty disgusting, and frankly, as a fan of this game series, like specifically Capcom vs. SNK 2, that was my ride or die game in this series. Frankly, because it was the only one where you could play as Leon S. Kennedy in his Resident Evil 2 gear and whatnot. Just like, oh man, but I love King of Fighters. My first fighting game was Street Fighter 2. Like, these sorts of games are matches made in heaven. I used to go to tournaments playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like, this sort of game is my bread and butter. You want to know why I say it's my bread and butter? Because that's what you call the base combos for all the characters. You call it the bread and butter. Like, it's so amazing how these games are intricately and adequately designed, only for these sort of nostalgia bait re-releases to do everything they can to denigrate the original game, the original gamer that played them, and just show that, yeah, times are never going to go back to what they used to be before. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this article. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day, and yeah, you bet your ass I want to talk about this. It may be a couple days old, but what can I say? I'm an ex-Capcom fanboy, so this is pretty much right on my radar. In the latest case of unnecessarily deferring to modern audiences' sensitivities, the re-release of SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos has not only been found to feature a censored cover art, but also a disclaimer apologizing for its early 2000s era content. Why would you apologize for a time when the world was so much better? I mean, barring the Patriot Act, post 9/11, Bush did it, and jet fuel can't melt steel beams, barring all of that, yeah, the early 2000 era, that is what we want. That's what we gamers are clamoring for. That's what we're craving. I get it, the blue-haired land whale feminists aren't clamoring for that era of gaming, but that's because they don't actually buy your games, and they most certainly weren't buying your games back then. But we were, so maybe, just maybe, you should just shut the hell up and give us actual consumers, us actual fans, us actual gamers, us actual paying customers what we want. Because they did give a justification for the censorship, or for the disclaimer, I should say, talking about why there is no censorship. But the justification doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Originally released in 2003, serving as the third and thus far final, and again, not as good as number 2, Capcom produced a meeting between the two retrospective video game studios. SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos sees 36 total characters from across their respective franchises, including the King of Fighters, Samurai Showdown, Street Fighter, and even Mega Man Zero, come together to settle the score in a series of one-on-one brawls with the fate of their universes hanging in the balance. In a move that no one saw coming during the 2024 EVO World Fighting Championships, Capcom and SNK surprise announced the fan-favorite fighter would be receiving a re-release for the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Steam platforms, first on PC on July 20th, then consoles on July 22nd. We're also about to get into something about these games. This has been a really common thing that's happened with fighting games in general that I loathe, and believe it or not, it doesn't have anything to do with wokeness, it doesn't have anything to do with censorship, it doesn't have anything to do with political correctness. It actually is a gameplay function that, honestly, is kind of just as bad. Upon its official announcement, Capcom and SNK released the game's first full trailer, they're revealing not only the game's various quality of life improvements, such as rollback netcode and its entire selection of characters being unlocked on boot up. Guys, this is almost as bad as the censorship debacle. Let's be real. You're gonna make a fighting game. We grew up in an era, whether it be Super Smash Bros., whether it be Street Fighter, whether it be Mortal Kombat, you had yourself some characters. Part of the fun, in fact, I would say a solid 60 to 80% of the fun in the initial playthroughs of these games was the thrill of unlocking the characters. Again, this has nothing to do with censorship. This is just your boy's own personal gripe. But when you start re-releasing these games or making new fighting games, stop giving us every damn character out the gate. Maybe, I know this is such an intrepid idea from your boy here, but give us like 8 characters, 12, 16, depends on how many you got in the overall roster. And then make all the rest unlockable. Oh, you want to unlock a Dark Ryu? Well, you better beat the game on the hardest difficulty in under 12 minutes. Oh, what's that? You want to unlock an alternate outfit for Chun-Li, or you want to unlock Cammy? Yeah, alright. You got to make sure you beat them in the main story mode. Whatever. You want to throw in 2, 3, 4, 5 DLC characters after the fact that aren't in the original code of the game, that are not, dislocked content. You know what? Fair enough. We can meet in the middle there. But this idea of having all 36 plus characters unlocked from the jump, and then just having you buy additional characters, is such a scummy modern day gaming practice, purely made just so that you can, get the casuals in, like, oh man, this character might be too difficult to unlock. They'll never end up unlocking them because of the difficulty spike that requires it. Oh well, get good, scrub. It's such a, like the only game I can recently think of in terms of fighting games that still has you unlock characters is actually Smash Bros, which, to be fair, you can make the argument as a party game, not a fighting game. I disagree with that argument. It very much is a fighting game, but that's neither here nor there. I'm getting real tired of this all characters being unlocked on boot up stuff. It truly is just as annoying to me as the censorship issues, because the censorship issues suck from a cultural standpoint, but this sucks from an actual gameplay standpoint. And frankly, you could even say it sucks from a cultural standpoint as well, because gaming culture specifically, has degraded so much to the point to where people can't even be trusted to play the games competently enough to unlock the characters in the most mundane of ways, as most of these fighting games, had you unlock the base roster. But anyway, its official key art, as illustrated by longtime SNK artist Eisuke Ugura, also featured as the re-release's digital cover. The piece depicts members of the game's roster as divided by company lines, staring down and preparing to fight against their counterpart, save for Mai Shiranu and Capcom's Chun-Li, who've instead chosen to exchange a high five rather than a fiery glare. An admittedly beautiful piece, and to be fair, it is. Regardless of which version you're looking at, this is a gorgeous piece of art. But if you haven't read the story, see if you can spot the censorship. I'll give you about 10 seconds before I read the rest. Alright, you had your chance. An admittedly beautiful piece. Unfortunately, players soon discovered the artwork, as it appears in both the trailer and on the game's digital storefront, was intentionally censored. In the original version, the aforementioned Mai and the purple-haired lead of Athena's series are shown with their cleavage prominently on display. However, in the version used to promote the game in the West, Mai's chest is covered up by her gi, and Athena's is hidden by both a black border and added shine coming off the sword. And I know what you're gonna say. I know that some of you watching this who maybe are new to my content are like, oh, you can find porn on the internet. This is not about porn. This isn't about, oh, needing to fap to the big titties. Take a look at these two right here. Oh, no cleavage. Why is that? What does it do? Who does it save? Who does it help? How does destroying the original artist's vision of what these characters are traditionally supposed to be viewed as, what does that actually do as a benefit to the culture? Now, you could say, oh, well, they shouldn't be treating women as objects. Well, first of all, these are fully fleshed out characters with their own wants, dreams, motivations, ideals, however you want to pursue it. But also, they ain't fucking real. They're effectively cartoon characters that you control, and it's getting on my damn nerves that, again, gamers will still eat this slop up because they got a nostalgia boner for it. I 100% would have bought this game had there been no censorship to the art. There's not even censorship in the actual game itself because of the disclaimer, but there's censorship to the art. the games as a whole are art. If you censor one thing, you censor the whole nine. Guess who hasn't bought Stellar Blade? Ya boy here. And it's because censorship in this regard is absolutely idiotic, and it frankly should be distressing to anybody and everybody involved, because someone, the powers that be, whether it be Capcom, whether it be SNK, whether it be the top tiers of the American government or the United Nations, thinks the West can't handle a little bit of cleavage. Think of the children. What about the trannies that are going to get upset because they don't have real titties like this? It's so damn annoying that art will be put on the back burner to protect feelings, the feelings of people who won't actually even buy the game. Further, in providing an additional mea culpa regarding its character, the re-release of SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos also includes a disclaimer apologizing for the fact that the game's content was presented in its original form and thus had not received any type of sensitivity updates. Imagine apologizing for keeping the game intact. What kind of bitch-made move is that? Absolute beta male cuck behavior. You boot up this game, you ready to relive some childhood, you got yourself some Mountain Dew, who knows, maybe you even decided just for the occasion to buy some converters and play it on a CRT TV. I doubt anyone's going that far, but you know, I ain't gonna judge. And then you get this sensitivity reading, you get this little disclaimer here saying, guys, the 2000s that you're so nostalgic for, the whole reason you bought this game, that was a really bad time, and we apologize for our depictions of anything cultural of that time. You know, you, the target demographic, the target audience, the folks that grew up with this game, that are buying it because you want to see it uncensored, you're wrong for doing so, but thanks for your fucking money. This product aims to be faithfully recreate the content of the original game at the time of release in 2003 as much as possible, reads the warning. Therefore, the content of this game does not represent the ideals of our company. Really? What are the ideals of your company besides making money? I can't even say the ideals of your company is to make money, because you're going to do things like this to piss the actual legitimate fans off. I imagine this probably has not actually made yourself too much bang of a buck. It hasn't exactly made a killing. In fact, everyone I've seen on the internet has been bitching about it. And we're not just talking about the censorship. When the game does release, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of individuals talk about how it just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't play the same. It doesn't translate the same way when you got an HD and it's now 60 frames per second. The fact of the matter is, you weren't trying to preserve anything. You were trying to give a nostalgic cash grab while also playing party to the culture war lines, and it's failed and backfired in your face, because not a single thing I've seen on the internet about this re-release is positive. And why is it not positive? Because fans reject this bullshit. Provided as is, respecting the original's intent of the game, and not intended to promote or attack any particular ideology or group. Just remember, they said it's not intended to promote an attack on any particular ideology or group. That will come up in just a little bit when it comes to their justification that I was mentioning earlier. Unsurprisingly, upon being met with a disclaimer, a number of players took the game's Steam page to press the port's developer, Code Mystics, as to the reason behind both the application of censorship to the key art and the inclusion of said warning. Regarding the artwork, the developer clarified, to reiterate, the ROM, in-game art, and function have not been altered from the 2003 release. The opening disclaimer provided for us to include likewise states that it faithfully recreates the content of the original game at the time of release in 2003, and is provided as I2s respecting the original intent of the game. This applies to all regions. There's no distinct Japanese version of the game. Steam Store artwork may or may not vary upon region, but we aren't privy to that. Here's the kicker. Here's the beautiful part where they get caught in their own lie. Addressing the disclaimer in a separate post, Code Mystics added, to be clear, the disclaimer is not our creation, but we believe it's meant to allow for the possibility that, as an emulation, there is the possibility of defect or bug. However, our emulation tech is quite robust, so we hope errors in reproduction to be rare and obscure. Now, hold on. If this is about emulation, and this is about how, look, technically it is not running on the original hardware, there's going to potentially be some issues. If it is purely from a technical aspect, then why did you put it is not intended to promote or attack any particular ideology or group? I don't imagine that any particular ideology or group are throwing a fit about the potential tech limitations of emulation. No. You don't censor titties on the cover of a game because you're worried about emulation. You're not emulating the box art. you're getting called out on your lie, you absolute frauds. And again, at the end of the day, we don't actually know who was behind this censorship, so whether it be SNK, Capcom, or a combination of both. But if I had to wager a guess, if I had to bet some money, I would say this was 100% Capcom's call, because Capcom is 100% in bed with BlackRock and Vanguard. They proudly tout on their website their commitment to ESG, the fact that they have taken ESG funding from these Western organizations, from these Western companies that are trying to do nothing but destroy the concept of individual freedom and usher in a grand new age of communism, which apparently Capcom is just happy to give you. Hey, I hope you enjoyed all the years of playing Devil May Cry and Resident Evil while you're praying to your new Chinese Communist Party overlords and sipping on some Marxist ideology. What an absolute disgrace and disgust. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about the video game scene, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon, and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the articles I react to on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos that I cover on my Friday night live streams, and of course, get involved with over 80 other vital idols. It is a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further, because we do care about diversity. But only one kind of diversity of thought. And if that sounds up your alley, join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.